I am sitting here in quarantine with Lisa Gangemi. Now, Lisa is in Staten Island, and I wanted to interview her because she is a soon-to-be registered dietitian, a nutritionist, and the founder of Sexy Clean Kitchen. We're going to talk a lot about nutrition, what to eat during a pandemic, how to keep a healthy diet, and how this relates to athletes and the sports industry. So once again, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming in all the way from Staten Island. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited.
I am too. I am too. This is one of my favorite topics personally, talking about nutrition and healthy eating. And I definitely want to first dive into your journey in nutrition, how you got started, and what made you decide to be a nutritionist and to start your Sexy Clean Kitchen program.
Yeah. So for me, it was a very unorthodox path to becoming a dietitian. For me, I did go to school. I went to college for 4 years, but I went there for pre-med. And it wasn't until senior year when I was just about to graduate with my 4-year degree that I started to volunteer in the hospital. And this was when I was going to school at Stony Brook up in Long Island, and I volunteered over there. And I met a dietitian, and that had been the first time that I had actually heard of a dietitian before. Even being surrounded and just in the medical field, in the medical educational path, I had heard of PTs and nurses, nurse practitioners, doctors, anesthesiologists, everything, but I had never heard of a dietitian before until I met one. And then once I found out what he was doing, and how he was really looking at the full patient, really looking at understanding, okay, their environment, yes, their genetics, but also the food and their access to food too. So truly looking at the whole picture and then healing them based on, what they were putting in their body, food-wise, rather than turning to, say, a prescription first or fad diets first. So yeah, I really liked that he was really zoning in on that one specific person and looking at all of that aspects that really touch with nutrition and really that personalized aspect to it. So once I met that person, I decided that I needed to now change my course. And even though I was just about to graduate, I was like, okay, it's going to be an additional 4 years for me to go back, get my undergrad degree, get my master's in nutrition. Then I had to do a 1-year-long internship. So it turned out to be an additional 6 years of school to become a dietitian. And now I'm a few months away from taking my exam to actually getting my licensure and then being able to have my own practice.
Oh, that's fantastic. And congratulations. A lot of questions that in my research that I found, particularly about the difference between being a dietitian and being a nutritionist. Do you mind talking about that a bit? Because I feel as though there's still some type of fog about what the differences between those two professions are and what a dietitian does versus what a nutritionist does.
Yeah, absolutely. So really the main difference is the education component that goes behind becoming a dietitian. Now, to become a dietitian, you have to have your 4-year degree, your college degree, undergraduate in nutrition. And then you have to go on to do a 1 or 2 year master's program. Then after that, you also have to sit for an internship, which is about 960 hours of clinical practice. And that's in several different settings. So that requires, say, 3 months working in a hospital as a dietitian. Then an additional couple of months working in, say, a nursing home, which would be considered long-term. Then you can also go off and do, as I did, sports nutrition for a couple of months. And you have to build up all of these hours in these facilities. So you're very, very rounded when you complete your internship. And then you're able to sit for this 3-hour long exam, and then you apply for your licensure, and then you could finally practice and give out nutrition information. Now, a nutritionist has absolutely no requirements for education whatsoever. Generally, there are some certification programs or some courses that you could take to become a nutritionist. However, by law in New York and most states in the United States, you cannot legally give out nutrition information as a nutritionist. You can truly only give out nutrition information as a dietitian only. So that's really, when you are going ahead and if you're in this spot where you're trying to decide nutrition or dietitian, if you want to make a career out of it, dietitian is definitely the way to go. That's where, just do the education, get the credits, and you'll be able to have a licensure and go ahead and help the community in that way.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. So kudos to you for finishing up all of that schooling and education and being able to do both. I want to dive in specifically to sports nutrition. Now, you said that you studied that a bit. Talk to us about what sports nutrition actually is and how it applies to not just a professional athlete, but to the everyday person who goes to the gym or works out at home.
Yeah, so sports nutrition is so important for, as you were saying, not just that athlete that's practicing every single day, but also the person who is just working out, for males and for females, to make those goals that you're looking to make in the gym. Your nutrition has to be there, or else those goals are going to fall short. It's so important, not just after you work out, fueling your body for recovery, but you also have to consider pre-workout as well, because you want to have that energy to go ahead and push yourself, so you are creating muscles, so you are burning fat. You also want to make sure that you're constantly keeping yourself hydrated and replenished throughout the workout, throughout the exercise, and throughout the day. So generally, based on nutrition goals that clients have, wherever they fall on the scope of athletics or an athlete, or just, a beginner in the gym, they need to be talking to a dietitian, or at least following some type of nutrition plan while they are trying to get to a goal. It's so important.
Absolutely. And when you talk about diet being so important, now we're in a time where money can be a bit short for people, and folks have to really look at the budget that they're working with, but also we're seeing a lot of people wanting to be healthy. How can people still be healthy on a restricted budget, and possibly even restricted in their own neighborhoods?
Right. It's different. So this is why I will always say that nutrition, it's always personalized. And if you're ever if somebody's trying to sell you something that they're trying to sell a person next to you, then you know that this is not true. This is not something that's going to work, because when it comes to nutrition, you really have to know the whole person. And that's going back to what I first said when I first met that dietitian. He was looking at the entire person, their access to food. Are they near supermarkets? Do they only have bodegas? How much money are they making in the week? Where are their finances going? How much money do they have for food? Also, then, of course, bringing in the genetics, bringing in any food sensitivities, food allergies, and then thinking about nutrition goals. So all of this has to be considered before going ahead and making a plan. Now, once that is considered, I will say that I have a variety of clients on different types of cultural backgrounds, different types of social economical backgrounds, and it's possible to be healthy and to live a healthy lifestyle in all of these different areas. So in wherever you fall on this spectrum, it's possible. It might look different, and it really should look different from you to the next person, but it's doable. And that's why it's so important to talk to a professional, because we know that, you don't have to go to Whole Foods to live a healthy life. Like, you can go ahead and get something in the local grocery market, or in the farmer's market, or even in the bodega. There are things that can fit into your budget, that can be improved in your life to, help you reach that goal.
I like that. I like that. So going back to the professional athlete, what are some of the main concerns that a professional athlete has come to you about in terms of changing their diet or maintaining their diet and being able to perform at an optimal level?
Right. So I worked with a couple of athletes during their off season, and especially now because of COVID, a lot of athletes have taken a little bit of a, not such a break, but almost a necessary break because of COVID. And so they focused on really getting to their weight goals. So generally during that off season, that's when athletes try to, either reach their weight goal, whether that means going down or going up. We never ever advise anybody, any athlete, to do that in season, because we want them to just maintain where they're at. We don't want to put any additional stress on the body. But truthfully, during the off season when they're training, it's very necessary that they speak directly to a dietitian, because if they're seeking nutrition advice from teammates or coaches or just other professionals, they really can go down a spiral sometimes, because here we always go back to the personalization aspect of nutrition, because what may have been working for one player or one teammate might not work for another. And I see that all the time. And truthfully, I have athletes that come to me that have put themselves in some type of gastrointestinal distress from following a diet that may have worked for somebody else on the team, but when they tried it, totally threw them off their whole game. And that can really be detrimental sometimes. And it could be hard to recover from, and it could be mentally draining for the athlete to go through, because they go into these diets with expectations that I'll get the same results as my teammate or as my friend or as that person on Instagram. And then when that doesn't happen, they feel defeated. And it kind of, not only does it play into the body where the body feels drained, but it also plays into their mind. So we really want to make sure everything's personalized. Everybody's getting the proper nutrients. Nothing is really restricted, truly. And we're just optimizing their game.
Another question I had for you was about the particular type of athlete. You know, we have, say, a baseball player versus a football player versus basketball, wrestling, and so forth. So it sounds like what a football player would eat is the complete opposite to what a baseball player's diet would be.
Yes. Also, I would say what a linebacker is going to be eating is completely different from what the quarterback is going to be eating. So within the same sport, we have players that are eating completely different diets, and they have completely different weight goals. So yeah, it's really, really important that personalized consultation, that personalized attention. That's what's really truly needed to get the goals that the athlete's looking for, and then also just your any healthy person would be looking for.
That's fascinating. And what are your thoughts about people who say you're reading these magazines and, you might read Women's Health or all these other magazines that are out there that people kind of flip through the pages and they're like, I want to look like this person, or I want to bulk up, or I want to have the exact same diet as this athlete. And they might follow the rubric that is in that magazine. What are your thoughts about that?
There is definitely this we have this overconsumption of social media at this point that's just like vomiting all of this information at us, misinformation. Also, these unreasonable goals. And for some people, you have to realize that you first, and nutrition is heavily connected to your mental state. You really need to make peace and be happy with yourself and understand what your body is doing for you is so much. Your body works every single day. It's working right now. Both of our bodies are working right now for us to even sit in this chair and for us to have this conversation. We're burning calories. We're using energy. And that's something that we need to honor and we need to respect. And we need to know that our body is much different than anybody else's. And so to compare ourselves to someone else is completely unfair, and it can only be detrimental. So what we truly have to do is just look at ourselves, think of the goals that we want to reach, see if they are reasonable. And if they're not, we can scale them back a little bit. We can't sacrifice our happiness. We can't sacrifice our mental health for, to look like somebody in a magazine. That's just not where we should be. This is 2020. Maybe 10 years ago, everybody was trying to do that, or even 5 years ago. But we really have, I'm very happy that we have walked into this new mentality, I think, as a generation where we're really trying to respect what we were born with and to really nourish it and help it grow rather than hate it and try to become something else.
So I even want to go deeper into, say, a basic meal plan, different foods, a variety of foods that the everyday person who, like we said before, goes to the gym, works out at home, would love to. So if you could talk about that, or even bring up an example of what's a everyday basic meal plan that someone that works out and wants to be healthy can adhere to.
Yeah. So I totally feel what you're saying, by the way, and I talk about this with clients all the time, about just the overwhelming feeling of, am I even doing it right, when they try to get healthy? And I find that during my first consultation with a lot of my clients, that's what really comes out. They might tell me that, Lisa, I really tried to be healthy. So what I decided to do was, I read on Facebook that dairy was terrible for me. So I decided to cut all dairy products out of my diet. I went to the supermarket, and then I tried to buy a non-dairy milk, and there were 100 different choices, and I didn't know what to buy. So I got overwhelmed and just left. And I decided, I'll do it tomorrow. Like, no healthy lifestyle changes for me. And the first thing I'm going to say to them is, well, have you been drinking milk your whole life? Have you been drinking, consuming dairy your whole life? And if they're saying yes, and if my next question would be, does it hurt your stomach? Do you have gas pains? Anything like that? And if that's a no, then, there's no reason why they should remove it from their diet. I understand that there's articles for some people. Dairy can be harmful. And that's the same thing with, say, like the gluten-free kick and all these other fad diets that you see. For some people, they truly are necessary to remove these things. But for others, don't start there, because the second you start taking things out of your diet, that's when the diet falls apart. Your whole lifestyle falls apart. You already feel defeated because you feel like you can't have anything. Now, for specific meal plans for people, I would generally say that without meeting the person, because I don't want to give out a meal plan for just anybody. It has to be, again, very personalized. But I always say buying whole foods, not going to Whole Foods, but buying whole foods is probably one of the best things you can do. So really trying to limit the processed foods that you're buying, really sticking to, okay, fruits, vegetables, meats, beans, things like that. Trying to just create meals around whole foods and nothing more, and no additives. That's generally like a very good path to follow. And if you're doing that, then you're probably going the right way. So other than that, you want to really speak to somebody who can get, as a dietitian, who can get a little bit more personalized with you, and create reasonable goals, and then you guys could work through them from there. But always stick with your whole foods. Really don't restrict anything, and you'll be okay.
There are a ton of diets out there, from vegan to vegetarian to keto to whole food to Mediterranean. There's just so much. And right. And yeah. And when it comes to the athlete, now I personally watched a documentary not too long ago about veganism and how there are athletes that are adopting this diet and this lifestyle change. And there seems to be an idea that athletes can't be vegan or shouldn't be vegan because they should be consuming as much protein and meat in order to, make sure their muscles are working to a certain level. What are your thoughts about that in terms of athletes taking on these diets like veganism, vegetarianism, keto? Do you find that, this is a part of your different dietary plan in terms of personalization, or do you have an overall thought about athletes even going the vegan route or vegetarian or what have you?
Right. So I will say definitely, I have also noticed a huge shift in athletes who are now really wanting more plant-based options for sure. I see that all the time. I worked at Rutgers for the Rutgers football team for a little bit, and you can even see there for their food service that the football players are asking for more plant-based options. There's also some vegans on the team as well, and vegetarians too. And that's the shift that a lot of us are seeing in the sports realm. And my job as a dietitian is to really follow suit with what the athlete wants to do. And absolutely, to answer the question, it is possible for an athlete to be vegan or vegetarian and still make, the protein recommendations that they need each and every day to gain the muscle that they're looking to gain or maintain. It's very possible. However, I always ask the athlete why they want to make this change. Sometimes it's as simple as, well, he told me it would make me play better. And I'm like, okay, but if you've been eating meat all this time and you don't like beans or tofu or any of these other protein sources that you would get from a vegetable protein, then is it really possible for you to be a vegan? And then that's when the athlete kind of, takes a step back and thinks. And he really needs to consider, is this doable for me? I also always advise that any big diet changes happen off season. We don't do them during the season because it incredibly affects the way that the athlete is performing. So we want to make sure that all changes happen off season so we could really nourish the body, make adjustments as they go, and make sure that they have that set meal plan that they already tested, they already know that works for them when season comes, so then they could start, using it as they're performing.
Very nice. And do you find that being in this pandemic and talking with athletes and non-athletes, that concerns about diets have changed?
Definitely more concerns, for sure. I feel like a lot of athletes have taken this time to really focus in on what it is that they have been thinking about changing, and taking this time to try to implement it. So that's what we really have been working with, is to making sure that during this time that the athlete is receiving the best nutrition that they can for, their whole workouts have changed. So we need to make sure that their nutrition is now addressing the new change in workouts. Some seasons have completely changed. So we're readdressing how they're eating, depending on how their season is. So there's definitely some confusion out there too. And that's what we're really trying to clear up and work with the athlete one-on-one, to get them in shape for when their season does start. And you see some of the players across all sports still very curious about similar topics, even though their nutrition is going to look very different. So a lot of questions I get often from athletes in any area is, should I be gluten-free? Should I avoid dairy? Should I do low carb? Should I increase my fiber? What should I be drinking for hydration? How many calories should I have in a day? So these are all questions that I get all the time. And, it's a lot on the athlete's mind these days because, again, going back to social media and just the amount of information that's thrown at us, especially with TikTok now, it's just an array of information after information that you have so many questions as an athlete, and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And then sometimes there's a lot of conflicting information out there. So you might feel really good one day about doing something, and then the next day you hear the other side of it and you're like, oh no, I don't know if this is right for me anymore. So really, truthfully, again, going back to the personalized aspect, you have to talk to somebody one-on-one who really knows you, who sees full picture you, who understands everything you went through in your nutrition life up until this point. Really, it's so necessary. And I love working with athletes. I really feel that they are one of my more motivated clients because athletes are so ready to reach those goals. And I also really enjoy there's a huge mental part to this too. And I really enjoy finding, what makes them want to reach these goals or what motivates them each day. So it's good. And we form great relationships. So I'm always happy to talk to my athletes.
I love it. Now, are there any clients, like dream clients, that you'd like to assist on their nutrition journey? I'm just curious. It can be both within the athletic world or non-athletic. Say if it was a celebrity you would have loved to help, or anyone in the public eye that you're like, there's someone that I would like to talk to about nutrition and see how I can refine their nutritional goals.
Oh man, I don't know if I have like one specific person. But truthfully, when it comes to athletes or even celebrities, anybody in the public eye, as you said, at any stage in the public eye, there's a lot going on there. And I think that the general public doesn't really understand or see them sometimes as people. And that's really hard, because when you don't see these athletes, these superstars, these celebrities as people, you tend to forget that they're really fighting a battle every single day at home, because they have to be in the public eye, and because they feel so pressured to look a certain way, perform a certain way. So really I like to really dive into the inner workings of, what's going on at home, and kind of meeting them at that like mental and nutrition midway point to really helping them reach their goal. So I don't know if there's one specific person, but really just anybody who is at this point doubting themselves and feeling like they're not enough, that's who I want to reach, because I feel like they are, and they need to recognize this and see all of the strength that they have, and that all of the amazing things that their body can do if they just respected it and supported it and nourished it. It's totally possible. So yeah, that person.
So, and I love that answer. That was a great diplomatic answer for me. So I accept it. Let's go into your Sexy Clean Kitchen program. First of all, I personally love the name. It sounds fresh. It sounds straight, direct, and to the point. And our viewers would love to know exactly what that program is.
So it really is ditching the diet's mindset. So that's where I really want everybody to start, is to understand that working with me means that you're not going to be on a diet. And in fact, a lot of my clients, because almost everybody in this world at this point has been on at least 15 diets by the time they're 25. And that's true. That's like a statistic out there right now. So I want them to understand that this isn't going to be a diet. There is no restrictive eating involved in working with me. I truly meet you where you are. That means your income level. That means where you live. That means your preferences. That means your genetics, all of that stuff. And we complete a personalized nutrition plan, and we work weekly one-on-one with each other. So I am constantly available to my clients. They know they have my personal number. They send me texts every single day. Sometimes I get pictures. Sometimes I get FaceTimes. And sometimes I get, even when they're in the grocery store, they'll call me and they'll be like, Lisa, what do you think about this? So I want them to feel that they have the tools that they need to be able to go to the grocery store and feel comfortable really buying what looks good to them, and what they know is going to nourish their body. And then, of course, we all have those comfort foods, those favorites that might be a little bit higher on the sugary side. That we might know that, okay, yeah, this isn't probably the best for my body, but at the same time, I'm never telling anybody to restrict them. It's all about mindful eating. It's about allowing yourself the opportunity to indulge and enjoy. It's a very food first, food freedom approach. And again, always personalized. So yeah, if you're watching this and you're very interested and this sounds like something for you, then you could always contact me. And I always do a little phone consultation first with my clients before they become my clients. So with prospective people, just to speak to them to see if we're a good fit to work together. Because I really want people who have goals that are other than weight loss. Weight loss should be something that happens just naturally as you're reaching your true nutrition goal. So that's kind of like the focus of Mindfully Nutritious, and also Sexy Clean Kitchen.
And I mean, I'm hearing the words like freedom and non-restrictive eating, but there has to be some no-nos. Do you have any foods or anything that when you talk with your clients, you're like, absolutely do not do that. Just that's a no for me.
Truthfully, no. Unless there is something that they are sensitive to. So if they've received like a food sensitivity test and they have a couple of foods that do not work for their gastrointestinal system, then those foods would be no-nos, but just for that specific person. Same thing for food sensitivities or food allergies. We want to make sure that they're not eating any of those. But truthfully, if they're a healthy person that doesn't have anything really, any of those red flags going on, then we try to really talk about being able to eat what you want, but at the same time, you want to choose the most nutritionally dense food first. So the food that's going to give you all those good nutrients, the food that's going to fill you up. I do talk to my clients about making sure that they have a carb, a protein, and a healthy fat at every single meal. So once those three are covered, truly, your body is very filled up. If you're eating 3 meals a day with carbs, protein, and fat in it, you really don't have too many cravings when you do that. And when you do have a craving, I try to say, go for something. I'll give them a healthy alternative to their favorite snack. But if they want their favorite snack, you have to have it. Just have it. That's truly the only thing you can do, because the more that we restrict ourselves and say that we can't have something, it's detrimental to our mental health. It's not going to work long run. You're not creating healthy habits, because all you're doing is telling yourself no. And then, when you do say get off a diet, how are you going to sustain it? Because you haven't really learned how to sustain. You've just learned how to deny. And so it can be like a spiral that some people fall into. And so I'm here to try to avoid that, to stop diet culture and really teach you how to fill yourself up with good food, and still leave some room for things that you might, indulge on here or there. And it's funny because a lot of my clients tell me that after about 3 months of really like eating healthy and allowing themselves the food freedom that they want to indulge in their snacks, they notice that their sugar cravings almost disappear, that they start to crave more healthy foods because that's what their palate has really been used to now. And so it's really an amazing transition that happens when you stick to this type of lifestyle. And those are the things that I try to celebrate with my clients. So instead of celebrating when they go down or they drop weight, I celebrate when they tell me, you know what, Lisa, yesterday I started really craving, like grilled salmon for some reason. Never craved that in my life, but that's what I really wanted. So that's awesome.
And you said one of the magic words. You said snacks. So if you could please share with us some of your favorite brands, what type of snacks do you recommend in different brands?
Yeah. So, wow, I'm such a snack person. So this is like a great question for me. So right now, watching Netflix, one of my favorite things to have would either be popcorn or tortilla chips. Those are my favorite. Also, for brand, sometimes I always I'm always very cautious before I drop brands, because I don't want anybody to feel that this specific brand is better than another brand, because sometimes prices can be very different, and you need to stay with what's in your budget and what you feel works for you. But right now for chips, I've been loving the Late July brand. I think that they're great. They have some added fiber in their chips. They have the chia seeds. They also have some quinoa chips, which is so cool. I'm really loving any type of popcorn is a great snack in my opinion. Again, for me, other people maybe not so much. So always personalize. And then other snacks that I've really been enjoying are just crackers. I'm a big cracker person. So Simple Mills. I'm not sure if you've heard of that brand, but they do almond flour crackers, which are so good. Trader Joe's also does Scandinavian crisp breads, which are made with all these different flax seeds and pumpkin seeds and chia seeds. And I'm so into like the seeds because they are so high in fiber and so good for you. And then I'm such like a dip and spread person. So avocados, guacamole, eggplant spread. That's something that I'm always eating. I'm always snacking on. And so those are my tops right now.
What does the future look like for you and for your clients, Lisa? Where do you see things going in terms of helping your clients and also giving them advice to navigate this, or what will be a post-pandemic world, in terms of eating healthy, boosting their immune systems, and things they can do to just still be on the up and up?
Yeah. So first thing that you can do is eat whole foods, make sure that you're getting your fruits and vegetables in every single day. And that's something that even some of my most healthiest clients that come to me, if I ask them how many vegetables and fruits do you have in the day, they're like, wait, sometimes I don't eat any. Well, that's where you're getting all your antioxidants. That's where all those great nutrients are too. And especially, as you're saying, during this time in a pandemic, it's so essential that we're getting those vitamins and minerals. You see people are flooding the pharmacies and Amazon buying all these different supplements, vitamin C, all this stuff. And sure, you can do that, but you can also just get it from your food. So it's so important to include fruits and vegetables, and really try to eat the rainbow when you're looking at those fruits and vegetables. So try to have, different color fruits and vegetables daily, because each of those colors give you different nutrients. So that's why it's so important to be so rounded. Also, make sure you're hydrating. So you should really be drinking a good amount of water every single day. We usually say the general rule is half your body weight in ounces of water every single day. So that should give you a general idea of how much fluids you should be getting in. On top of that, you can also, make sure that you're moving a little bit. So whether that means for you walking or jogging or running, you can also just be, do a little bit of yoga at home. Also pay attention to your mental wellness as well, and your stress and anxiety levels. I really, on my own, personally, I have implemented meditation during this lockdown, and it's been so helpful. It really is so important to rest your mind, because when your mind is thinking about 100 different things, it's so hard to focus on a goal, especially a nutrition goal, because nutrition and emotions are so interconnected. Food and people are very personal about their food. People are very attached to food, emotional. So generally, if the mind is not rested, you can't really stick to a good, healthy eating plan. You really have to focus on those stress levels. So I always say meditation is a great, great activity to take part of. And then, yes, you can definitely look to supplements for some of those nutrients. I do suggest that everybody is taking a vitamin D supplement at this time, because it's very hard to find vitamin D in our food unless it's fortified. So that's why it is important to have that supplement. And then if you're somebody who's not really a fruit and vegetable person, you might need some more supplements. That's when zinc and vitamin C might come into play. But yeah, definitely get in touch with a dietitian, somebody that really knows their stuff, and you can truthfully really prep yourself to be as healthy as possible. So if any type of illness or something does happen to you, your body can take it and withstand it and move through it and move past it, and you can just move forward. This is kind of like 2020. This is a wake-up call for all of us. We really need to get our health in order and give our bodies a fighting chance, because look, we don't know what's out there at this point. So we got to do everything we can at home.
That's the truth. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for your valuable information, your time. It's truly been a pleasure talking with you, and an honor to just get all of this information and put it out there to our audience and to the world, really. So I always leave our interviews, just if you have anything you want to promote, if you want to tell our viewers more about what you're doing and how you can help them, and if you want to put out your social media information and other information in which they can contact you, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So yes, if you would like to contact me, I am on Instagram. I'm under the handle Mindfully Nutritious. So you can go ahead and check me out on there. If you feel like what I have been saying, sparks a light inside you, and you want to reach out for more information or find, can we be a good fit to work together, you can go ahead and DM me on there, and I'll get in touch with you. I am doing all virtual counseling right now. Unless for special cases, I do some home visits. So again, everything is personalized, including how we're going to talk to each other. So yeah, it's been so enjoyable talking to you, Candace. I'm so happy that we did this.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. And if you want to get in touch with Lisa and get a tune-up on your own health and nutrition, you can definitely contact her, and we will provide all of that information for you on our platform. Thank you once again, and until next time, see you later.